People call it all sorts of things: a digital revolution, a financial disruption, and for a lot of folks, a complete mystery. Today, we're going to break down one of the most talked about technologies of our time, Bitcoin. Let's dive in.
So right from the get-go, Bitcoin has sparked some pretty intense debate. Is it a world-changing innovation, or is it just a bubble that's waiting to pop? We're about to unpack what it is, how it actually works, and why it just keeps commanding so much attention.
Okay, so to even start to unpack that debate, we have to get back to basics and ask the most fundamental question of all. What exactly is Bitcoin?
All right, so the story kicks off back in 2009. And honestly, it starts with a total mystery. A person, or maybe it was a group of people known only as Satoshi Nakamoto, released a paper and some software for something brand new, Bitcoin. It was the world's very first decentralized digital currency, and boy, did it kickstart a global phenomenon.
And that word right there, decentralized, that is everything. It's the key to the whole idea. See, unlike the dollars or euros in your bank account, which are controlled by central banks and governments, Bitcoin runs on a network with no single boss, no CEO, no headquarters, nobody in charge.
I mean, think about how you normally send money. You always need a middleman, right? A bank has to approve it and process it. Well, Bitcoin just gets rid of that middleman. It's a peer-to-peer system, which means you can send value directly to anyone, anywhere on the planet, without having to ask for permission.
Okay, but wait a minute. If there's no bank, what stops someone from just, cheating the system? How is it all kept safe? The answer is the incredible technology humming away underneath it all, the blockchain. You can think of it like a giant public digital receipt book. Every single transaction gets recorded on it for everyone to see, which makes the whole system both transparent and incredibly secure.
All right, so we've got this super secure public record book. But how does a new entry, a new transaction, actually get written in? Well, that's where this wild process called mining comes into play.
This is where it gets really cool. When you send some Bitcoin, your transaction gets broadcast to this huge global network of really powerful computers. These computers, called miners, are all in this massive global race to solve an incredibly complex math puzzle. The first one to crack it gets to verify a whole bundle of transactions, including yours, and add the next block to the chain.
So this whole process, this massive global competition, that's what we call mining. And it's not just some game. It is the absolute heart of Bitcoin's security. To cheat the system, a bad guy would have to have more computing power than all the other thousands of miners combined, which is just an unbelievably difficult and expensive thing to do. All that effort is what keeps the network honest.
And here's the genius part, and why it's called a blockchain. Each new block is cryptographically sealed to the one right before it. This creates a digital chain that goes all the way back to the very first Bitcoin transaction. That means to change even one little detail from the past, you'd have to break and redo every single block that came after it. A task that's so hard it's considered pretty much impossible.
Okay, so that's the tech. It's really clever, kind of complex, but so what? Why should you or I even care? Why has this weird little internet money project become such a big deal around the world?
Well, it matters because it does things that regular money just can't. It's totally borderless, so you can send it across the globe just as easily as you send an email. It's censorship resistant, so no government or bank can just decide to block your transaction. For some people, it's a wild investment. For others, it's a lifeline, a way to protect their savings in countries with really unstable economies. And then there's this number, 21 million. This is one of the most talked about and maybe most important features of Bitcoin. That's it. That's the maximum number of Bitcoin that will ever exist. It's literally written into the code. Unlike government currencies that can be printed whenever, Bitcoin has a fixed, totally predictable supply. And that scarcity, the fact that it's finite, is a huge reason why it has value. It's why you always hear people comparing it to digital gold. The whole argument is that because the supply is capped, it can act as a way to store value over the long term, one that can't be watered down by governments printing more and more money.
Now, of course, it's not all sunshine and roses. For all that promise, Bitcoin has some pretty serious problems and criticisms. Its price can swing wildly. It's famously volatile. The amount of energy its mining network uses is a huge environmental concern. And let's be real, it's still not very practical for buying your morning coffee.
So yeah, the debate is definitely still raging. But no matter where you stand on it, one thing is for sure. Bitcoin has already left a massive mark on the world. Let's just take a look at the legacy it's built so far.
I mean, think about it. This thing started as a tiny project for a few tech geeks online. Now, it's a global asset accepted by some huge companies and traded on exchanges all over the world. But maybe its biggest legacy is that it blew the doors open for thousands of other cryptocurrencies and totally changed how we all talk and think about what money even is.
And really, that's the big idea here, the main takeaway from all of this. Whether Bitcoin itself ends up being the money of the future or not, it proved a truly revolutionary concept, that a system for value can be built on math and code, completely separate from the banks and governments we've always relied on. And that brings us full circle, right back to that big question. Now that you've seen the mechanics and the big ideas behind it, where do you stand? Is Bitcoin the start of a whole new financial world? Or is it just a really fascinating experiment? The debate is far, far from over. Thanks for diving into this with me.